Hello, everyone. Hello. This is She's Connected SA, and today we are talking about luminous loving and luminous living with Carly. Carly, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello to all the people out there. I'm so delighted to be here today.
Yeah, thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us and being on the She's Connected SA channel. And you look like an angel in your beautiful red dress, and you're just so beautiful. Wow, yeah, that was an image of you now. Carly, where to start? I think let me give you a minute to just introduce yourself.
Okay. I am a very ordinary woman who has led a sort of extraordinary life. I can only say that I've lived a life of many chapters, and if I had to rewind and try and even summarize briefly all the chapters, I'd be here for a day, so I won't do that. But I can say that all my life I've wanted to find a way to live beautifully in the world with myself and with everyone around me. I grew up in Zambia for the first few years of my life and then moved to South Africa and immediately I noticed there was something different about South Africa to Zambia. I noticed that people were separate. I noticed that depending on the color of your skin, you got treated in a particular way. And it broke my heart. You know, just as a little girl, I just knew that this wasn't okay. I couldn't understand it. And I always wanted a connection with God, with the divine, and with everyone around me. And so it's been my lifelong search. What is true? Who am I? Why am I here? And what am I in relationship to everyone else on the planet, and indeed to the planet itself? And those questions took me on a difficult path. I won't say it's been easy. There've been many challenges along the way, and as I write on my website, it was only when I hit rock bottom, really, I had nowhere else to go, that I started to climb back out of the darkness into the light, and to start to find the answers to the questions that I had been asking my whole life. And so I really embrace and appreciate and celebrate my journey, all of it, all the hardships, all the pain, all the difficulty, and all the beautiful enrichment that I've received as well. Nothing was wasted, nothing was wrong. Everything was taking me to this moment where I am sitting here in front of you, speaking about luminous living and loving, and how to live beautifully in today's world, which is still seemingly so full of pain and darkness and suffering and war and violence against women. And so, you know, how to move in the world in love, and to be the change that you want to see in the world, and not to get caught up in the hatred and the revenge and the retribution. You know, it's an interesting question to ask ourselves. How do we do that?
Yes. Yeah. No, that is definitely. Once you step into that space of questioning everything about you, the I am, the now, life, you know, the people in your life, the choices that you make. It's such an incredibly beautiful, powerful place to be in. And I've hit rock bottom a few times in my life. And every time that has been the perfect platform to reinvent and co-create and recreate and sort of step away from the self and everything that I thought I knew, all the opinions and judgments that I had about myself, that other people had about me, that I'd taken on. That was really just a platform to let go of all of that and to really ask, how much of a contribution can I be to the earth and to earthlings and people and just to life. in general. So yeah, rock bottom is awesome. I love it. Anybody that finds themselves there, it is a beautiful place to be. Embrace it, love it, be kind to yourself, nurture yourself, and just really open up to that heart space and the possibility of what life is offering you. And I had this quote this morning before we continue talking about you, was that we tend to create limitations and expectations, but the universe is so vast and so endless and so limitless. So whatever is out there is bigger than you could have possibly ever imagined to be for you.
Exactly. Yeah. And so when you hit rock bottom, what it's doing is it's giving you the opportunity to die to all that has passed and no longer serves. And it's opening you up. It's breaking you open to more so that more can come in. And that's why those of us who've been in those rock bottom places several times, we know that if you can just be present to that and not resist and fight it, but rather just to sit there in the not knowing and in the dark and in the struggle and the pain, and just to lean into it rather than resist it, just lean into it. Say yes to your no. And then you go through a threshold, and then a deeper truth of who you are gets revealed, and then a deeper truth and another deeper truth. And so, you know, when I look back over the many chapters of my life, they are me, but they're like, it's like a Russian doll. They're little tiny versions of me, and the me that I am beginning to be aware of is growing. And the paradox is, the more that I come into who I am, the less of me there is at the same time, if you know what I mean. The less of my ego, the less of my identity, the less of what the world classifies me as, you know, pale, you know, female, you know, whatever identifications are given to me. Those become less important. So as more of me comes forward, less of me is there. It's a very strange paradox.
Yeah, because we try and fit in, don't we? You know, and every time we try and fit in somewhere, that's where the friction comes in, and then things don't work out. So if I look at you know, my life, you know, I am the wild one, the one who always goes against the current, and the times that I've tried to fit in, it hasn't worked. It just simply doesn't work. And I know that there are a lot of women out there doing that. You know, there are a lot of women making ourselves, thank you for that word, smaller than what we are, because we have a certain world view of ourselves or a belief of ourselves. And if we can just step into that space of expanded awareness, you know, and you can really, really just, like I said, the heart space, the heart space is the most important space you can create in your life, and acknowledge and allow for yourself. Carly, the work that you do, tell me about the work that you do.
So absolutely everything I do comes from being embodied as awareness. So I'm not about spiritual bypassing, going into, you know, expanded spiritual practice of infinite abundance and eternity without bringing that into this very limited vessel that is the body, you know, that is matter. It's both, you know. I come from the tantric tradition, the Advaita tantric tradition, of including everything. Nothing gets left out, otherwise it cannot be true. It cannot be the absolute. If anything is left out, then you only have a portion of the truth. So everything is included. Spirit is included in the body. Body is included in my spiritual practice. And in the body, where the body opens up beyond its limitations is through the heart. It's the heart's intelligence, which is love, that is creating everything in the cosmos from chaos. It's the intelligence of love that is creating and destroying, to keep everything in balance, everything. And so that's our portal to our higher self, to our greater self. And the mind, which we've had so much reverence for over the last few thousand years, this logical, rational intelligence is a good intelligence. I mean, it's like a computer. It can do amazing things. It can work out very complex problems very quickly, but it is binary. It is a on, off, naught, one, yes, no kind of intelligence. Great for working out mathematical problems, for example, but not great for answering spiritual issues or questions of the heart. So I say to people, if you wanted to fall pregnant, let's say if you wanted to have a child, would you ask a computer, should you have a baby or not? Yeah. And everyone looks at me horrified and goes, of course not. So I go, well, then why do you keep trusting everything in your life to logic? Ask your heart, your heart's intelligence. The mind is a wonderful servant. Just put it in service of the heart. Put it under the heart. It can support the heart. It can post-rationalize what is essentially emotional and spiritual decisions, which is our deeper intelligence. But don't use it as, the guide for everything like we do in the Western world. Everything is, if you can't prove it scientifically with double blind tests, and if it can't be seen and tangibly touched, then it doesn't exist. Whereas, as you've just said, there's so much mystery in the universe. There's so much out there that we don't know. And it's infinite. So we just keep dropping into a greater and deeper knowing through the heart. So all my work is connected to heart. And when I'm working with the feminine yoni, which in Tantra is the womb, because the feminine's access again to the knowing of all matter, how all form can stay in balance in the most life-affirming way, is through connecting to the mother. It's through connecting to the earth, through the womb, that creates and births everything. Yes. So the yoni heart, the yoniverse, the universe is through the yoni and the heart. For men, it's actually through their testicles. That's the equivalent of their intuition. Most men's awareness is in the lingam, or what is known as the penis. Yes. So I help men to drop into the base of their testicles as I help women to drop into the base of their womb. And just that simple exercise of taking your awareness down into the body will open up your connection to your intuition and your deepest knowing. And everything, all the answers lie within. So when we drop into stillness and inside the body, so not going up there, but going in here, then everything opens up. And the truth of who you are and the next moment and how to move, in line and in flow with life comes to you in that moment.
All things come. That was beautifully said, Carly. Yeah, it's so important. And we're all guilty of it. Like we all get lost in the mind instead of just returning to the center and and being. And I'm looking back at the last.
We live from. We just basically inhabit our bodies from the neck up and then to one side. The left. One of the things I do is conscious dance. It's one of the things I facilitate. And conscious dance allows us to explore the billion years of unexplored territory between the head and the feet.
Amazing.
All that wisdom that's stored in the body starts to open up when you begin to move consciously.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, Carly, I think you've seen some really potent transformation within women. Do you have a story of a particular woman maybe that you'd like to share, how with her moving into her womb and into her awareness and into her body and embodying her presence, or the presence, the God essence?
I do. I have a beautiful story.
Yes, please share.
I had a beautiful woman who I shall call Susan.
Okay. Susan.
She probably wouldn't mind if I gave her a real name anyway, but Susan had been on her quest of asking the same question, who am I? Who am I really? And she'd been going to a lot of different retreats. So many things had contributed to her path. But this one particular incident, I would say, was the kind of great tipping point, the huge catalyst for opening her up. And she came to a closed women's group that I was running for 6 weeks. It was a dance group. We danced for 2 hours every week for 6 weeks. And then we had a final dance on a Sunday. And on the second to last week, Susan, I could see, was very contracted in the opening circle. All the other women were, you know, opening up to bliss, and we were having this beautiful ceremony. And Sally, Susan.
Susan, Sally.
Susan, Sally. No, she won't mind Sally. I could see she was actually deeply contracted. And so whilst all the other women started the opening dance, I went to her and I asked her, you know, what's the problem? And she said to me, I just want to hide. I just want to run away. And I just want to hide. So I said to her, well, how would it be for you if you could just hide? I mean, how would it be if we just actually allowed the hiding impulse to have its space, to have its dance? Instead of repressing it or forcing it to go away, let's actually allow it. And so I wrapped her up in a big brown furry blanket, like a big bear blanket. And I said to her, you just stay wrapped up, completely hidden, completely hiding for as long as you need to. And we will hold you in our hearts. We're not abandoning you. But we're respecting your need to hide. And so we're just going to leave you. And when you're ready, you can emerge. So an hour and a half later, after sobbing and sobbing and sobbing and hiding, she emerged. And she emerged like a butterfly out of a cocoon. She emerged utterly radiant and completed the dance in the closing circle with us. And later she told me that she had been emotionally abused by her father all her life. You know, her whole childhood, he had abused her emotionally, and she wanted to hide and get away from this abuse, but society and the family and everything else didn't recognize the abuse, and so she wasn't permitted to hide. She had to just take it. As a result, she could not trust in life after that childhood. She wasn't able to open to her yes, because she always felt there was the danger of this emotional abuse. So she had this very loving husband and 2 sons, and yet she could never fully open to them and allow them to love her, because there was always this armoring of needing to defend in case there was this danger.
Yes.
After that hiding had been fully expressed, which was needed in childhood but was never allowed, once it could be fully allowed, she could open to her yes, and she from that moment could receive all the love from her husband and her 2 beautiful boys. And from that moment, she has not looked back. And it's not to say that she doesn't say no sometimes. Sometimes her yes will turn to a no, but she now knows when to open and when to defend if it's required. Yeah. It's not that it's a permanent thing which hasn't been undone from the past. You know, this association that got locked in and frozen just melted away. It was such a simple thing, just allowing what hadn't been allowed from the past to come home, to complete, to be brought to peace. And it's literally transformed her life.
Yeah.
So that's why I love working with the body. The body is so wise. It knows how to fix itself.
Yeah. Yes, I think we as human beings underestimate our own capacity to heal and thrive in any situation. You know, no matter what you've been through, no matter what power you think other people have over you. Because that's the thing, you know, like when you live and create from the divine, there is no such thing as more powerful or less powerful. There is just the divine light within all of us. And when we allow to be in that space for people, and that is a place where I, you know, all my work at the moment is heading to be almost like a blank canvas when you stand in front of people, and just to allow them to express whatever it is that they're expressing, and not judging them and holding them in a space so that they may find their way. and you find your way through that as well. And it goes both ways, you know, because we all have something to learn and teach, contribute and receive.
Exactly.
But we have to be willing, is the one, to allow, is number two, that into our lives, that information into our lives, that love into our lives. So for the women who are listening to this conversation with Kylie at the moment, don't be quiet. Don't judge yourself.
No.
Just whatever comes up, whatever, if you're angry, be angry. If you're hurt, be hurt. You know, if you're feeling like you want to go and run away and be on your own, then do that. But don't go like, oh, what will people think of me and how will I be judged? Because once you do that, you allow yourself the space for new information to be downloaded into your life, and really step into a space of creativity and creation. And it's so needed in South Africa, Kylie. I mean, it's a requirement in South Africa for women to open up.
Yeah, for women to finally give themselves permission to feel the crazy logic that is the feminine. You know, it's kind of crazy wisdom. It's not logical and linear. The wisdom of the feminine is multi-pointed. It's multi-directional. It's, you know, it's
movement.
And it doesn't. Yeah, it's movement and it's feeling. It's the sensed wisdom of the feeling body. And for centuries, that feeling wisdom, which cannot be proven in a logical, linear equation, has been laughed at, ridiculed, or even worse, persecuted. Women have been killed for the power that they have in their bodies. And now women are joining together in sisterhood, because we're no longer competing for the alpha male and no longer needing the protection of the male to be in our power. And it's beautiful to be in complementary, in a beautiful interdependent dance with men, or with the masculine, which is the principle, the sacred principle, which we have inside ourselves, as we all have the feminine inside ourselves. It's beautiful when they make love, you know, where they come together in mutual respect and love and harmony. But for the feminine to cut off her parts of herself, or to deny herself, to try and fit the shape that the world today currently says the woman should be, that's breaking down now. Women are coming together and saying, as sisters, we're reclaiming the ancient wisdom. We're reclaiming our bodies. We're reclaiming our sacred sexuality. We're no longer going to be ashamed of our bodies. We're no longer going to shape our bodies according to media ideals. And we're no longer going to be ashamed of our sexuality and our power in our sexuality. And as sisters, we support each other now. We're not in competition. We're not stabbing each other in the back or keeping each other small so as not to rock the boat. We're saying to each and every sister, come into your power. And as you do, it will be difficult, and you will be judged by certain sectors of society, and you will be patronized or ridiculed and sometimes even threatened. But we're behind you. We're behind you. We support you. And women are coming out from a place of love. So we don't want revenge. We don't want retribution. We want to show that we can purify that which no longer serves us as humanity anymore, but without retribution. We just do it through love and through standing in our truth and just going, I'm in my truth and I am not ever dimming my light again for anyone or anything, you know. And I invite you into your full light. I invite you to go into your full power, because I'm not threatened by you. I know ultimately you are me. So the more you shine, the more I shine. Wonderful.
Yes, the mirror reflection.
The mirror, we are all deeply interconnected. You know, apparently we're all still got bits of Mozart in us and a bit of Beethoven, and, you know, the particles of life that we're exchanging through our breath, through our skin, through the sweat in our bodies, everything. We're totally porous. There's nothing that separates us from one another. And then there's the consciousness of the heart that flows through all of us.
Yeah, and it's all about earth time and where you are at, you know. Yes, your inner world, I believe, is your outer world, or your outer world is your inner world. Whatever is going on.
The whole of the universe is not out there and you're perceiving it out there into yourself. It's in you being projected out there. So yes, everything that's happening in the world is an aspect of ourselves. And so particularly the most difficult aspects, rape, exploitation of the planet, war. Every time I feel outraged about that, it is an invitation to me to go deeper within myself and say, where am I at war with myself? Where am I raping myself? Where am I polluting myself? And then I have to look at my eating, for example, or I have to look at how am I, what am I doing with my rubbish? Am I just chucking all the plastic out and not caring about it? Or am I really consciously now trying to find ways to recycle and be as light on the planet as possible? So it's always me. It's always me. And the more I change within, the more the world, my world is changing. How I'm experiencing the world is changing. So yeah, you know, as Gandhi said, you know, be the change you want to see. The world is as you are.
Exactly.
So the rise of the feminine and the feminine sensibility and wisdom and
everything, the totality of existence, the totality
and her
of experience.
direction to the world, her from her wisdom, speaking her truth. This is important that it happens now, because the planet, we're at a tipping point where we're either going to tip into extinction or we're going to tip into a new earth. You know, I believe that we will make it. I believe we have gone through the tipping point. 2112 was that big portal and we made it through. So all the rest that's happening right now is actually the dropping away, the dying of the old matrix, the old consensus reality of patriarchy. It's dying, but in its death throes, it's all the darkest and blackest stuff, all that mud at the bottom is coming up. So don't despair. Don't think, oh my God, everything's, you know, nothing's worth living for and the world is going to hell in a handbasket. It's not. Just keep shining your love. Keep belonging to what you know. Keep standing for what you believe in, and the darkness will dissipate. Just like lighting one little candle in the black, darkened room will light the room up. So you just keep knowing what you know, and the old is dying. It will, one day you'll wake up and it will just be gone.
Yeah.
Just like the Berlin Wall. Just one day it seemed like it would never come down. And it did. Yeah. One day it felt apartheid would never, ever be beaten, ever. Yeah. And then we did. Yeah. Not to say it's all been solved, but we reached the tipping point.
Exactly. The shift, the change, you know, there's an ongoing change and shift with evolution and with species. And I believe in what you're saying. It's true. You know, a positive mind creates a positive life, creates positive experiences. And I think most women people actually find themselves in a position, and I've been there, you know, where you just don't see the point of it. Your questioning has taken you so far, and your environment is not the best environment for you to thrive in. And you just start like losing heart. That's what I call it. I call it losing heart, you know. And the magic here is that you have to look at what's available to you, first of all. Be practical about it. Look at what's available to you. You know, is there a quote that you like? Is there something beautiful that you can look at? Is there a song that you can listen to? Is there a plant that you can have in your life? Is there somebody that when you look at them, they just bring that angelic beautiful, gorgeous you to surface, you know, because a lot of us get judged and we get beaten down and we get pushed. And then once you're that low, it's sometimes a bit tricky to get up from that, you know, but in my experience,
community.
In
come into community with your sisters, phone a girlfriend, you know, resource yourself, as you say, with whatever helps you to reconnect with the light. As you say, whether it's just lying down on the mother, you know, lying down on Mama Gaia, whether it's, as you say, just, you know, contemplating a beautiful rose, picking up the phone to a girlfriend and saying, I feel terrible and I don't want to make you feel terrible, but can you just hold me in this?
I don't want you to solve my problems.
No.
Just
to connect with me. Just connect with me and don't try and fix my pain. Just let the pain be so that it can move.
Because I think that's also another thing. Like, people expect other people to fix their problems. Don't. And other people think that they should fix your problems. Don't. You know, just hold someone. Just allow them to be. Whatever arises, just love that what arises. From Matt Kahn, thank you for that. You know, love that arises, and through that you will find your way. Carly, you obviously you're connected with so many women in Cape Town, in South Africa, and in the world. And we were talking earlier about men connecting with you, really to find out what they can do in this world to bring through the divine feminine and really support women with the change. And then so having women support men with the change that's happening and the shift. Your gatherings in Cape Town, tell me a little bit about the Red Tent, because I know that I've spoken to, or you know that I've spoken to Deveshni, and we spoke about the Red Tent a little bit, and about womb awakening and about yoni steaming. What's your experience been about the Red Tent, with the Red Tent?
So the Red Tent belongs to all women, and anyone can hold a Red Tent who would like to bring sisters together in solidarity and support, where we can share our stories, where we can hold whatever's being felt without trying to change or fix it, but just giving it space to be felt and allowed. And so it is the birthright of every woman to hold a red tent. She can hold a red tent in her home with 2 women or with 100 women, or in a public space. It doesn't matter. Red tent is simply the sacred intention for women to come together in consciousness and love. And they used to do this in I think it began in the Middle East in biblical times, when women bled. For 7 days they left the village and they went and they held their own rites and ceremonies. All the mysteries of the feminine were passed on down to the daughters. And the daughters would be initiated into their sexuality around about 12, or maybe even a little bit younger in those days. But as soon as they started with their moon, the woman initiated them into their sexuality and showed them how to pleasure themselves. The mother would actually even initiate her own daughter into her sexuality. They would break the hymen with a crystal wand, and they would bring the girl to orgasm through beautiful massage, sensual massage. And why the woman did that was so that that girl owned her own body, so that she was full in herself, that she knew her own pleasure, she knew her own body, she knew the mysteries of her body, and she could meet her future husband as a full woman. He would have been initiated by the men in the house of the men, and she from the house of the woman would meet, and they would then be able to become part of the community and have children. That young girl would be taught about birth, and her hips would be massaged and opened, and the woman would sing yoni songs to the woman so that her hips would open, so when the time for childbirth came, she could give birth naturally. And so it would go all the way through to menopause, where women were initiated into the secrets and the mysteries of menopause, which, unlike today, is seen as getting old, dried up, and a has-been, and just problematic.
That's horrible.
Isn't it awful to think that menopause, which is the most mystical and beautiful time for a woman, it's when she drops into her deepest power, her deepest magic, her deepest mystery and intuition. It's when she becomes fully a sorceress, fully a witch, a medicine woman. And I mean this not in the dark arts way. I mean this in the way of the heart, in the way of nature. But it includes the dark mother who needs to know how to give birth and how to for when death needs to happen, in order for life to be most affirmed. So she is in charge of the full cycle of life. And so a crone, once she's gone into menopause, is the most powerful and respected and revered woman. In our society, a woman who goes over 50 is seen as dried up, old, no longer useful to society, which is the utter disempowerment. It's the utter and the total disempowerment of the feminine. So in reclaiming our power, we now reclaim menopause back, and we don't need HRT and all these other artificial hormones, because actually the body starts to make those hormones in other parts of the body. It doesn't make them in the ovaries anymore. But we have other, all the chakras are related to a gland which creates and secretes hormones, and the body learns to adjust. And it's also preparing you ultimately for death, because if you're in your feminine, you embrace death. It's part of life. And so you embrace that you're going towards death, as opposed to fighting it and pretending that you're forever young. That is a denial of the cycle of life. It's a denial of the feminine. So the red tent is always a celebration of the feminine. She is the high priestess of all that is embodied. The masculine is the high priest of all that is not embodied, that is antimatter, that is pure space, that is the field of infinite potentiality. That's the masculine's domain, and her domain is form. So the red tent is where those mysteries and the rites of passage and the secrets of the feminine are passed down in an unbroken line, where the planet is cared for, where the women decide which fields get plowed, where to move the village to for the next season, because she feels into everything. So I'm speaking symbolically. Obviously, we now are living in urban environments, but it still applies in a different way, but it still applies.
Yes.
Her wisdom directs all action. Can you imagine what a revolution that is on this planet? To say that the feminine, not so much woman, but anyone who is in touch with their senior deep feminine, and men can be too, as I say, through their testicles. The feminine within men and women gets to make every decision that is ever made in business, in nature, in community. Every single decision, if you want it to be an action with meaning that is life affirming and not destructive, comes from the feminine. And this is the big revolution. It comes from the sensing wisdom, and then the rational logic aspect works out how to do it in the most righteous, most meaningful, most focused way. So logic will go, well, if that's the action required, boom, that's the way to do it. And the masculine does it with this absolute expert precision. So the red tent is such a beautiful invitation to women around the world to gather and to share and to learn and to open to this wisdom that is here within us. We don't have to read hundreds of books. We don't have to go and study. We simply have to drop into our bodies and into our wombs, and whatever opens up within us. And some of it's very painful because there's a lot of trauma stored in the women, collective feminine, and to hold that in our hearts and let it move, let it be expressed, let it come out. No more trying to push it away or hold it all together. And so in that space, women are free to really howl and cry and moan and groan, be naked, go crazy, whatever's required for her to come back into balance. And so the red tent movement is everywhere. I'm wearing red today to honor the red tent movement. any woman, as I say, can hold a gathering. She doesn't have to know anything except have an intention of opening to the sisterhood, and then it'll come through. It'll come through.
Yeah.
And we can call on our guides and our ancestors and ask those who support our highest good and the highest good of all to support this journey of us not really knowing how to take the next step, but just wanting to.
Yeah.
And we will be guided and we will be supported, and we can trust in that.
And Kali, I have to mention this because we are in South Africa, and there's a lot of, religious influence, and that limits women from really stepping into the space that we're talking about, about the priestess and the red tent and the sisterhood. And regardless of your religion, regardless of what you believe in, as a human being on this planet, as a woman on this planet, you have access to this. Yeah. You have access to other women. We have the internet full of information. All you have to do is share it with us, with me, with Kali, with your children, with your mother, with everyone, because that's where I'm sitting at the moment, and we're running out of time. But is that the information that I'm getting now, I wish I had that at 12 and at 16 and at 21. And I really, really wish I had that. And my purpose at the moment is to share that with everyone and really get people to open up, We are going to do another interview with you. I have to prepare for another one. But what I wanted to say was, can you, before we do that, there is a pledge on the She's Connected SA website where we say, take the pledge, ask the question, start the conversation. And what it is really, it's the invitation from us to you as a South African woman to take the pledge, to look at the women in your life, to ask them, what has happened in your life that I don't know about? What's happened that's stuck for you, that's creating a space of limitation and fear and doubt and unconscious creation and creativity, that's limiting you from living the life, the divine life that you can live on this planet and in this universe. Yes. So, by taking the pledge and asking the question and starting the conversation, we can find out what's happened to the women in our lives, but we can also find out who caused, who was hurting that acted out, because we want to love those people as well. You want to love the people that are unconscious and that are hurting, because how else are they going to step into their power and acknowledge what they've done as a being, as a human being, and how can they then start their rehabilitation, and get rid of the toxic behavior. Kali, your website. Can you quickly give your website?
Yes, my website is www.luminousLivingandLoving. So Luminous Living and Loving, all one word, .com. And you can also find me Kali Widd, WIDD, on Facebook. I post a lot of my events there as well as on my website. And I just wanted to also say that any woman who would like to connect from anywhere in the world or South Africa or ask questions, please, you're welcome to through both of us.
Yes.
And also, I just want to also say very clearly that where I come from, I honor all people's religious traditions and practices. It's not about dishonoring them, but it's at the same time saying, if it's limiting you from being who you truly are, then you can include it in your spiritual path, but don't allow it to get between you and God, you and the divine, you and the sacred, because all of us are part of the divine creation that has been asked to be on this planet right now. There's no accidents. And the other thing is, for anyone causing you pain in your life, just to know that it's a pattern in them meeting a pattern in you. Yes. It's not you meeting them in their truth. It's two patterns playing that can cause pain. So, yes, you don't have to agree with the pattern. You don't even have to condone the pattern. But the being behind the pattern, that's who you're wanting to reach ultimately. And that's who you're wanting to show ultimately, is the being without the pain for patterns. that have hurt for centuries, to have those ultimately embraced and dissolved and transmuted so that the real you shines forth and the real them shines forth. So never confuse the pattern with the person.
Yes. Allow. Carly, I want to do another interview with you. I'm going to put it out there. So if whoever's going to be watching this, we are going to do another interview with you. And then also, I'd like to talk to you about the She Africa Red Tent that I want to put together. So if there are any women out there watching this, we really want to create a space in Africa, in every country, for women, where we can travel with the wisdom that we have and the women that we have that are willing to share and nurture you as a being for your healing and your health and your glory and your grace and your joy and your ease in this world. So connect with Carly. She's amazing. The women that I speak to on this channel, they all touch me so deeply. And I really wish you well, and I'm going to be speaking to you again. So that's for today. Please watch our other talks and go out and live your divine life. Carly, thank you.
And can I say one more thing?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
There is a women's retreat. It's called Wild Woman Evolution. It's really to help us to come back into our untamed true natures as women. It's from the 27th to the 30th of May on a farm outside Robertson, between Robertson and McGregor in the Western Cape. It is on my website, and you can contact me about it if you'd like to join. There is lots of space. We've booked the entire farm, and all women are welcome. And if there are those who financially are struggling and that is a barrier, please speak to me, because we will find ways that we make it possible for all women to attend who would like to attend.
Yes, yeah. Oh, that's so amazing. Oh, what a beautiful, beautiful invite that was. Thank you so much for reminding. Yeah. Oh, please go, because I've wanted to go to this event and I can't because I'm up in Namibia for a wedding. Maybe I'll be able to make it. But yes, please, there you have it, like, don't let money stop you from living and being and doing what you want to do.
Never.
Beautiful.
Always
We have to
allow yourself to receive support. There's always support for you. If you want to come, if there's such a desire, deep desire, the path will open up for you. All you have to do is ask for support, and it will be found. We'll find it.
Oh, amazing. Carly, blessings to you, honoring the divine within you, and thank you for sharing your light and your love with us today. And I'm going to be speaking to you soon, but I have to say goodbye. Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Bye-bye. Have a lovely day. Bye.